So we last week, in the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about articles and things and guides for, navigating this hobby.
Yeah.
Whether it's how to ship a car, whether you should buy matching numbers, have the car inspected, whether an appraisal and what it all means. And this week, we're talking about the benefits of consigning your vehicle to a consignment house or auction. And understand that when we talk about this, we talk about it in generic terms. We're not saying Classic Auto Mall is the only place you can sign your car. Listen, there are other outlets and other places that may or may not work better for you than here. And we get that. That's why there's room for everybody to do well in this hobby. That's why Mecum came here and had a sale in Harrisburg last week. Didn't affect us. We had probably record sales that week. So I mean, we're happy for it to all kind of coalesce together. But talking about the benefits of consigning your car, first of all, as we tell you all the time, selling your own car is a pain in the rear. And in today's busy world, time is our most valuable resource. There are plenty of things that you can do for yourself, but why?
Right.
I mean, can you wash your own windows? Sure.
Everybody's busy. Everybody's busy.
And so, it's like me. I miss mowing my yard, but I don't miss mowing my yard when it was 7:30 on a Wednesday night and I just gotten home and I got to get it done and it's going to be dark and, And so same with selling your own vehicle. You put it with somebody who knows what they're doing, who knows how to market it, because generally speaking, they're going to get you more money in your pocket than you could get if you sold it on your own. And you think, how is that possible? Well, it's the way you present it and the way that you put it out there on. I mean, we're on 65 websites that we pay for. That doesn't count the probably other 30, 40, 50 that are specialty sites that grab our stuff and put it on their sites as well, too. Can you do that on your own? No, you couldn't afford to be on 65 websites. So the strength in numbers in order to have your car out there in the market to everywhere, whether it's in Europe or South America or Asia or any of those places, you couldn't afford to do it on your own, or take the professional set of pictures, or do all the things that any consignment house or auction house.
And what if you do get a thing from Europe? How do you know it's legit? How do you know how to ship it? How do you know those things that you don't regularly do?
You don't, and that's the problem. And yes, could you fumble through it? Yes, and some people are good at it. I was on Hemmings yesterday looking at a particular car, and it was a individual private seller, not a dealer, selling the car, and they were very thorough. They had the sections like we do and lots of pictures and undercarriage pictures, and were very thorough and forthcoming. And I thought, this is great. The more that can happen, the more that it benefits this hobby, because nothing worse than somebody getting burned. And it doesn't matter if it's with us or with an auction house or another consignment house. You get burned, the whole hobby suffers, and
That's
everybody, feels the pain of that. And eBay used to be terrible at that back in the day, where you would just get all these scams and all that. But to JR's point, when you sell a car to a guy overseas, do you have any idea what to expect? You take a check. Do you let him take the car? How long are you supposed to let it clear for? What are the procedures? How do you fill out the title? How do you make sure that it gets titled in their name and it's not still in your name in a third world country and it is involved in some kind of international espionage?
It's true. And if they offer more money and say, just send me the cash back,
or
extra $4,000
to my shipper, go ahead and send it to him.
Yeah,
and then
it's a nightmare.
Put the lime and the coconut.
And if something goes bad, how do you go after him? Sometimes you don't even know who do I call?
Yeah.
What do I do?
Yeah, it's like buying a car. Will you pay more if you buy a car from a dealer?
Sure.
Sometimes. However, at least you got somebody to go back to.
That's right.
You buy it from a guy on the side of the street. I mean, he could be gone. I mean, you don't know that. Yeah. And so, can you sell your own car? Yes. Should you sell your own car? No. Let somebody do it who does it for a living. And what will get you, like I said, is more than you would get on your own, and with a lot less headache. Just waiting for a phone call from us. And you can't just put a 2-sentence description out there like people used to do. Runs and drives great.
Right.
Red with a 4-speed.
That means you really don't want to sell it.
Yeah.
Either one picture or two pictures in a short
a grainy picture with half the car cut off.
You're not serious.
Or it's too far on top of the car, so it looks disproportionate.
It's too bright.
It's too bright. It's too light. It's too that. So, do you know how to decode the VIN number and the trim tag? Do you know what you're selling? Do you know that this is really a matching numbers car that you're selling? Have you done the research and homework to find out? And I'm not trying to be negative here. I'm just saying, have you done all these things? Because when you sell a car to somebody, you should be able to tell them without fear of repercussions, that this is what it is. And when we drill down with people, they say, oh, this is a matching numbers. This has got the original motor and the original transmission and the original rear end. How do you know that? Well, the guy I bought it from told me that. Oh, okay. Well, how did he know that?
Yeah.
Maybe it's true.
Sometimes we get cars in here that say the consignor says it's matching numbers, and we have to let them know it's not matching numbers, or the vice versa, where they had no idea that
no idea. It may be. I don't know. It is, or maybe it's era correct or period correct. I mean, there's a lot of terminology out there, and people say, well, if you say it's era correct or believed to be original miles or this, then that's confusing to the consumer. And I argue that it isn't confusing to there are reasons for certain terminology. A resto mod is exactly what it is. It's a restored, modified from original vehicle, which is usually a Camaro or a Mustang or a Firebird. There's all different terminology. A recreation means that you're making a tribute to a particular car. And normally those don't even have the original motor, so that really doesn't even matter.
And there are serial numbers on engines where, and this is when we do it here, it's like you can narrow it down to the day that car was produced.
Yeah, and what options it came with and how many were built like that. I mean, a Marty report, which is all Ford products that Kevin Marty produces for Fords, and I recommend if you've got a high dollar Ford, reach out to Marty and get a Marty report.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a Mustang. It could be any.
No, it doesn't
Ford.
have to be a Mustang. Any Ford from the 60s, 70s, and
beyond.
80s,
yeah, I think so.
I think even so. But get that. But back to what we were talking about. We've got the resources to really to put your car in the best or vehicle in the best possible light to the most amount of people at the most cost-effective way. Right. And you don't pay an upfront fee for your car to be here. You don't pay anything up front. We only get paid when it sells. Benefits of consigning your vehicle. You want to stay home on Saturday nights? You're going to have to, because people are going to be calling you. And put it on, any of these generic sites that are out there where you can sell things like the old Bargain Trader of the days. Remember the bargain? I used to love to get the Bargain Trader. That was so great.
What do we have? Anyway, there's every community has those freebies.
Yeah, but now there's ones that are national online, and those can be quite annoying.
Yeah.
When you put your stuff out there. So, and here's the problem. The guy's going to show up. The buyer's job is
if he shows up.
If he shows up. He says he's going to show up and he doesn't. But if he shows up, he's going to pick apart your car because that's what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to tell you every reason why he's not going to pay you as much as you want to pay. And you can get offended by that and tell him to get the hell off your property. With us, we don't have that emotional connection to. Well, some of the cars we have emotional connection to, just because we're such car junkies. But we don't have that emotional connection to the car because we didn't build it. We didn't have anything to do it. And you say, well, then what makes you guys more the expert to sell it? Listen, we drill down with the consignor on what it is and what it isn't, and everything that they know about it. So when you talk to us about a car, you're not getting any less information than if you were talking to the guy who built it or the guy who bought it built, or the guy who, bought it brand new, because we drill down, and you can tell that in our descriptions. I mean, we go deeply into these things and really make sure that we say what we're doing. And what happens if the guy shows up with cash? Do you have a money counter? Do you have a pin that, for counterfeit? Do you know all that? No.
Plus, just the risk of having somebody come over your house. You really don't want people. Do you really want people over your house?
Oh, that's a nice set of Craftsman tools you got there, Joe.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah, I'm not going to buy your car, but I'll be back to rob you later.
Yeah, if I ever bought a private party, you always meet in a neutral place. And
meet at a neutral place, usually like at a bank.
Even that's still risky.
Or at the police station.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's a great place to be.
And if you think you can get your title notarized at a bank, a lot of them are not doing vehicles anymore.
Yeah, they used to do them, but they don't anymore. Do you know how to, handle the overseas shipping? There's a whole nother issue that people deal with. I mean, from a buyer's perspective, purchasing from a dealer versus an individual, there's just that added layer of protection. So you got all those reasons that we, in theory, should get a little bit more for your car than and usually cover our fee. So just be aware of that, and don't get yourself in a box with trying to do it on your own to try to save a few dollars, and it ends up costing you a lot more money when something happens fraudulent or even worse. So that's my lesson for the day.
Very good.
Yes.
Excellent. That's a wrap.
You've been listening to the Classic Auto Mall Show with your host, Stewart Howden.